Hi, and welcome to Genuine Collective. We're going to do a series on navigating the minefield of the narcissistic personality. Now, keep in mind, myself or my guests are not qualified to diagnose anybody with a narcissistic personality disorder. This is just our instance, our versions of some of the things that have transpired and some of the personalities that we've had to navigate. So again, keep in mind, we're not here to diagnose anybody, just relay some stories of navigating the minefields of the narcissistic personality. And if you haven't already, if you could please subscribe to the channel, that really helps the channel grow. And I hope you enjoy this series. Hi, I'm here today with Caroline Chaput. We're going to she's the first in my series of this navigating the minefield of the narcissistic personality. And again, as I mentioned in my little introduction, none of us is qualified to diagnose anybody with the narcissistic personality disorder. We're just discussing some of the experiences that we've been through. So, hi, Carol. I can call you Carol.
Yeah, you can.
I've known you for a very long time.
Yeah.
So if you want to just give me, I, I don't know if we need to do an introduction on you in it totally, but how old are you right now? You're in your
I'm 50.
40s? 51. So really in 51 years, then this has really been your first experience with a narcissistic personality.
Yeah,
Um,
until 2 weeks ago, I had no idea what it
wh-
was.
which same for me. I mean, I was 60, 59, 60, I think. 60, yeah, because I'm 62 now. Oh, there, look at your burner. Hello, Ari. um, for anyone who doesn't know, that's the burner I bred. His name is Aramis.
Yeah,
Um, so that's how long Carolyn and I have known each other. So yeah, I was like 60 years old, and which is kind of astounding to think that we've gone through that much of our life, not having encountered one, or if we did encounter it, I guess either we got out fat before the ramifications of said relationship were brought to our attention. But so if you want to give me just a brief story on what it is you discovered a couple of weeks ago and how this all kind of came to be and your relationship with said personality.
yeah.
Ooh, ooh,
So
ooh, ooh, ooh. Hi, handsome.
you probably
Hi.
recognize your voice. That's
Right?
awesome. So,
Mommy, where's that
pretty
voice?
much, pretty much a simple, friendly relationship. Um, that started many years ago. So we're talking about 6+ years. Um, and it's all those little things that you think like, okay, this person might be just upset and stuff.
Mm,
And then it goes so much down that it becomes very hurtful into the relationship. Um, you feel you have the problem as well.
mhm,
So pretty much I realized that I wasn't too a narcissistic, dealing with a type of person very recently. And by the way, we're going to call the narcissistic NARS because it's very hard for my French to say it.
okay.
So, so yeah, so and I started to read because one of my friends says, "Hey, you have to stop this.
Mm,
You're hurt. You're not the same. You're
mm,
aggressive." Um, I lost friend into it. So
wow.
it took a very, very big proportion.
Mm,
But didn't, I actually didn't know what it was. So
mm,
I read and realized it was textbook,
mm.
textbook of what I read.
And this was more of like, I'll call it a business relationship, not so much a romantic relationship,
No,
right?
no, exactly. Like a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
friendship, a
Yeah,
friendship.
a friendship, yeah, and I mean, you did do kind of business
Yeah,
together,
yeah,
yeah, but I just wanted to make sure we differentiated that it was
yeah,
not a romantic involvement at all, that it was more of a arm's length
yeah.
friendship, business relationship, yeah. So, six plus years, how when did things start showing themselves in hindsight? I mean, obviously, you were excusing some behaviors,
Yeah.
as I think we all do. But so when really in that relationship did you start seeing some signs, but
Oh,
just dismiss them?
The first sign, it's one day got screamed at into a conversation, and so much screaming and violence.
Mm,
I begged that person actually, and that's one of the fault that nobody
mm,
should do. It's begging to continue the relationship. I
mhm,
apologize, but I was the bad person. So
wow.
that started, I would say, around year 5 into
Ah,
the relationship. Before that, I don't recall, so probably it was minor, and I just
mm, mhm, mhm.
so. But that one was absolutely. I was pathetic. I should
Yeah,
have stopped that
yeah.
day.
Mm. And that's what for me is a bit of a perplexing part of it is that we all and I think they tend to prey on people who are more empathetic,
Mm.
and more caring and forgiving because we are the ones that say, "Oh, it's just a bad day," or forgive behaviors that some other people might just say, "No, I'm
Mhm.
done." Mhm.
Well, first of all, my work, it's about empathy. I
Mm,
used to work as a complaint management into the office of the president. So I was
mm,
always into having complaint and dealing with that and so on, right?
mm,
So for me, when you're actually dealing at work with this type of, angriness and stuff, when you go into your friendship, it's less than what you deal at work,
mm.
right? So you
Oh,
just
true.
like, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
kind of
the
don't.
gauge is a little bit off there. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I was like, okay, you know what? A couple of days it will be okay or stuff
yeah,
like that. But
yeah,
um, that actually just gave the nurse to go over you over more and more
yeah.
and more because you
Mhm.
tolerate that.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep pushing buttons. Did you find that he was a button pusher? Did he try to push any buttons for you to anger you to get to solicit any kind of behaviors, either good or bad?
Absolutely. Well, I got, like I said, I pretty much got a textbook of a nurse, silent treatment, discard.
Mhm.
Um, I got, I got everything. Craziness. I'm crazy,
Which is
right?
the narcissistic rage. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Mhm,
crazy, and that's it. And to be
mhm,
honest, I had to contact a friend who is a psychologist
mm,
because I thought I was the problem,
mhm,
and
which
I
is
was
what they do.
crazy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm not a crazy person,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't have, am I the nurse? Didn't know. No, I'm
yeah.
not the nurse. It's, I have empathy. So pretty much the nurse behavior, and I like to compare it as a plant. You're a
Mm,
plant in the living room, right?
mhm, mhm.
Then there's the supplier. Another plant is coming in the same room. That
Yeah,
plant makes better flower than you are.
yeah.
Either you say no, either
Yes, you're too
you
hard to manage.
exactly. Either
Yeah.
you say no, either they don't need you anymore
Mhm,
because you were never important for the nurse.
mhm.
Never.
Right.
And
Well,
this
and
is
that's
what,
it.
sorry?
And I think that's why it was 5 years before you saw something because he was still getting a lot from you, either financially or emotionally or, whatever connections wise, he was still getting enough that he kept you on a higher plane, and once you started giving resistance or setting boundaries, that's when you started getting,
Yeah.
lower down the
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I started to say, I was a plant. There is a new supplier there. So
Mhm.
my plant is actually in the garbage. I'm
Yeah.
totally ghosted.
Mm.
And it's where it is. And I stopped communication actually without knowing what Norse was
Mm.
on. I stopped the communication few months back when the screaming was there again. I said,
Mm.
that's it.
Mhm.
I cannot, and I didn't know it was a good thing to do.
Mhm.
So, and it's it's where it is, and I cannot. I'm still hurt,
Mhm.
right? Because I just
Mhm.
discovered, but now I can start the healing process because
Mhm.
I know what happened.
Yeah. It is. I mentioned to you off camera, I had a very short encounter with a narcissist, and it changes you forever. Like you said, the trust issues then. And for me now, it's the slightest variation in verbiage. Like, yeah, it just the slightest little thing when it's like, no, normal people don't phrase things like that. And now I hate to say
Yeah.
hypersensitive, but it's like, and because because there's the varying degrees of narcissist. There's, and I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but the really top tier, I'll call them
Yeah.
top tier, like
The
the
rate,
mafios.
the rate.
Yeah. So, and all the way down to a little more, less full on narcissistic, but still has the stronger tendencies that are, belittling and stuff. So now, yeah, like I said, I'm super hypersensitive to words, and phrases, and body language even, that yeah,
Well,
it's a game changer.
one of the sign I think, and when I go back and everything, it's the noise won't discuss with you. A normal person, you can have a little battle, friendly battle with a friend, and you will
Mhm,
discuss it, right? You
mhm.
you will say, what, let's have a talk. Yeah, you might be right. No, you might, it's a back and forth exchange.
Yeah,
With the noise, there is no back and forth.
yeah,
You're the wrong
all the
person.
time.
That's it. You're wrong.
Yeah,
You're you're not a person.
yeah,
You're just a thing they own.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's sad. And today you would ask me, do I still like that person? I do.
Mm,
But I cannot control, you know what? I cannot control that person to like me.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And now it's into um discussion and stuff, and I cannot deal with it right now. I can't.
So, are you in the devaluing stage? Does he say things maliciously to destroy your
Probably,
reputation? Mhm.
probably,
No, you don't know
probably,
for sure. Mhm.
probably. I don't know. And to be
Mm,
honest, I don't want to know. And
mhm.
if everybody thinks I'm crazy, then I'm crazy. I
Yeah.
it's above me. It's totally above me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
protect yourself first, right?
Yeah.
It's about you.
Yeah.
Like I did everything. And
Yeah.
you know me as a person, right? Even if we didn't have that much contact in the few last year or so.
Mhm.
But you know
Mhm.
me, I'm generous, I like to help people and so on. So
Yeah.
so it's what it is.
Yeah. It's yeah. So you don't know for sure that he's gone around,
Well,
giving you bad reputation or
as per
anything.
therapist, that's the stage. That's gonna be
Y-
it.
yeah.
We're there.
Yeah.
We're there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you don't have any reason to see him anywhere, do you? Or is that still a possibility?
It's a possibility.
Mm.
Yeah.
And does that make you nervous at all? Did you ever at any
No,
point? No.
no, no. You know what? I'm the same person. I
Hmm.
don't have to change,
Right.
and anybody I can say hi, and that's it.
Right. Hold your
I
head
just
high.
don't
Yeah.
have to engage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. When I am, when I broke things off with a person that I saw who had a little, not a little, he was a very strong narcissistic personality with a psychopath thrown in there. Um, yeah, there was a brief period where I actually feared for my life. Just a couple of weeks right at the end when I broke things off, that I thought, I can't say I trust this person 100% not to do something, because he knew where I'd lived, right? And I just thought, I can't really trust for sure. So, I mean, nothing did ever happen, but it's not a fun place to be when you actually even fear for your life. Yeah.
Well, I think a friendly dealing with a narc friend into a friendly relationship and a love relationship is totally different.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, and it depends how it ends. Like, your narc didn't decided to discard you,
Yeah.
right? Which is my
Yeah.
case. I'm
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
discarded, right?
Yes. That's
So
true.
so
I've been on the
you
discarded.
but
Yep.
I was discarded first
Yeah.
because, and then this is where I also discarded the person.
Right.
So
That's true. You're
it's a
exactly
different
right.
road.
It is
Right.
a different road. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was getting onto the devaluing stage and getting shelved because I was not as compliant, I think, as he would have liked.
Yeah.
But I was the one who did the breaking off, and it was under ridiculous circumstances, which then he later denied even happened. um, but yeah, and I think maybe with one of the things for me, I think because it happened so much later in my life that I was able to. Well, there was red flags. Like I said, there was a couple of minor red flags and then a couple of big red flags. And then it was like, okay, I'm done. And I think, be if I was younger or maybe even had a little less self-esteem, I probably would have kept getting sucked back in for a little bit longer than I did. But yeah, it's a changer. It's a life changer. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that the key word you say is self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
which I lack, which you don't.
Mm,
So the response is actually different, right?
yeah,
On how you're gonna cope with
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it's we'll see how it evolves, but for my part, I can say no. I know, like, I'm not gonna get hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So I yes.
And it feels like the narcissistic personality uh, exploits and takes full advantage of every every aspect of a person's generosity,
Yeah.
but whether it be with emotions or money or anything. And it certainly is one of the big things is uh, it wasn't in my instance, but they are very much take advantage of you financially, and that's one of the hallmarks of a.
In my
Uh,
case, it was probably a bit more emotionally.
mhm.
Um, and we're not talking about love, but into a
Right.
friendship emotion than anything else. That was
Yeah.
the major part of it.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, back in thinking back on it, so obviously you don't have any regrets on this relationship that you had, or
No, I don't.
yeah, yeah. I mean, knowing things now, it
I
might
would
have,
love, like, being myself and the person that I am. I wish I could say, you know what, there's this. I can help you, but you can't.
yeah,
And this is the first thing the therapist tells you.
yeah,
There's nothing you could do.
no,
You're
no,
not at fault. It's
yeah.
the
So
person needs to deal, but they won't, and
they
they
will,
won't ever.
they
It's
won't
not
ever.
gonna happen.
That's exactly right, and I think that's why for me it is such a, I call it a mind meld, because that's the thing. It's like these people don't even see that there's anything amiss.
No.
They think that everybody else is the one with the problem
Yes.
that needs help,
Hmm.
and they are perfectly what's not legitimized, but they're perfectly within reason of all the demands they've made, and everything that they've done, the way they've treated you. They think that's all justified because you are the problem. Yeah.
Well, the problem people, it's usually the people who will defend their opinion or has opinion, because sometimes in artists they do have some relationship long time, but with
Mm,
people either they just let it go, and
mhm.
but I have opinion on things
Mm.
that triggers, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
triggers
Yeah.
um, either like the rage
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I probably shop for the rage part,
Yeah.
knowing myself, because I
Mhm.
question, I talk,
Mhm.
I'm, I love to exchange, right?
Right.
But the
Right.
exchange, it's one way.
Yeah. And, that's what makes me think that you must have been providing a lot for him because of your ability to wouldn't trigger him. But he could also be getting fuel from that, from the triggers, from the,
I'm
you
not
know,
sure about that anymore.
mm,
I I'm not there into the understanding. Well, I know a little bit, but where I was the fuel,
mhm,
what was the expectation
mhm.
with me, I'm not sure.
Well, the thing with narcissistic people is that fuel is what they rely on, and that's what they call their primary, tertiary, sources of fuel. And for them, it doesn't matter if it is anger or love or adoration. They either one is a fuel source. So even you being mad at him gives him fuel. As long as they're the center of attention, that still is the fuel source that they crave and they need in order to keep the relationship going. So, I mean, even the times that you guys had your rows, he might have just been getting the fuel source from that.
Yeah.
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 It's incredible as a disease. I will call it a
Yeah.
disease. And my friend therapist was actually telling me, he says, an alcoholic, right? Usually
Yeah.
you do an intervention or something
Yeah.
and you can get them out.
Mm-hmm.
But a narc, they stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see narcs to say, I
No.
need to change. They
Yeah, they do.
they don't realize what they do
Yeah.
to you. They absolutely don't. You
No.
are a thing.
An object. Yeah, exactly. You
You're
have
not
no soul. You're nothing. Yep.
you're nothing.
There's someone, it might have been Dr. Ramani, I'm not sure, but there's a YouTube video. It might have been an interview with Dr. Ramani, which I'm sure you're familiar with on YouTube. She does a lot of work within narcissists and has done a lot of research. She's very well informed and is a good source of information. I'll put the link in the show notes. But she was talking about the end stage of life of a narcissistic person. And she said it's very sad because they've got nobody. They've just got, at that point, will have nobody.
Oh,
And
for
it's,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. I can see how that would play
It's
out that
sad.
way.
It's
Hmm.
sad. Yeah, it's also very very dangerous because usually, and I don't like the word victim. I don't think I'm a victim. I
Mm.
would never think I was a victim. I just let somebody use me more than
Yeah.
a victim. And yeah, so I'm just gonna learn from it, and I've been used, and move on,
Hmm.
and get happy because I was not happy. I
Mm.
pushed my frustration to some other friends.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was so
Wow.
full. I was angry. Like
Wow.
I spent a lot, and to be honest, Jen, for a full day, you want revenge. How can this person do that to me?
Mm.
Right? I
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
And 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 I know for a fact it happened with other people before me.
Uh-huh.
And now I cannot say anything because the new supplier won't believe me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it will most likely happen.
Yeah, for sure. Again and again. You especially then in your because you were the one of the discard people, which I haven't had experience with. Um, I would imagine, it's always nice to get closure. And I think that any saying about closure and not being able to get it is involving a
Mhm.
narcissistic personality because you do never get closure. You never get to find
Yeah.
out why the whys of anything. It's just you have to create your own closure and work at moving on, which is hard when you don't have proper
Yeah.
closure.
So like I said, I was lucky to have a therapist in my friend,
Mhm.
in a friend, and you can write a closure letter or stuff, but it won't change anything.
It surely won't
It's
change them,
you
yeah.
have to
Mhm.
let it go,
Mhm.
choose your battle, and either you create, let's say, you call the person, you want a closure, you want to advice or anything, you might create more rage
Yeah.
than what it is, right?
Yeah.
So the best option it's always to let it go.
Just complete no
So
contact.
I'm not
Yeah.
into the point of blocking social. I'm not there. I kind of don't believe in that,
Mhm.
right? I think just stopping communication is enough,
Mhm.
right? And so be it. If the person is just going and see my post and everything,
Mm.
like I don't
Mhm.
have that much of an extravagant life and
Mm.
that interesting.
Mhm.
So yeah.
It's funny. So I ended up after we broke up, he called me, or, I hadn't blocked him on Facebook or anything, and so we had a couple of, messenger exchanges after that. And then he started getting abusive, like verbally, and really that vile nastiness. And I blocked him, and I hadn't blocked his text messages yet. And it's funny. And it's funny that I'm making a generalization because he would always have his phone number as unknown caller. And it's funny that I've talked to other people who have had relationships with narcissistic people, and they also registered their cell phone as an unknown caller. And it's like, I wonder if they do that on purpose, because you can block texts from an unknown caller, but you can't block phone calls from an unknown caller. And I remember he called me once after the fact, but he also then would stalk me on Facebook as an alias. And one time, you remember my lower leg issue that I had. I met him after that, when that was on the healing stages, and he messaged me as a private person with a name I don't know. And he said, have you ever thought it was blah, 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 that is your issue? And then, because I hadn't posted anything on Facebook about my lower leg issue, I said issue in my response. And he's like, and his response was, yes, your leg issue, not your mind, your miserable mind. I can't do anything about that. And it's like, oh, I know who this is. Block.
Yeah.
But it was funny that even the short time that we had a relation, that he was still doing that end stage, like ragey, nasty, vile nastiness. Yeah, that you're the problem kind of thing. Yeah.
And one of the most important things that we all want is just to be in either a love, a friendship, or a family relationship. There is one word that everything wants. It's respect.
I was just going to say respect. Exactly.
Respect. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be rich. You don't have it. It's not important.
Yeah.
Just be respectful.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Yeah.
And if whatever I said today can save one person to go through there, thank.
Mhm. So saving one person, I wonder, yeah, if we can pin down a little more specific, any of the red flags that someone could be looking out for, in a businessy type friendship type of relationship.
Yeah.
Uh, what are some of the things that really are the key things that someone could look out for?
Well, no better, no, not interested in opinion, no empathy about
Mhm.
whatever, silent ghosting. Um, that's a big one. So if you're not agreeing, they will give you a silent ghosting.
Mhm.
Absolutely, because they
Mhm.
have to make you pay for that,
That's
right?
right.
You're the bad person, so you
Right.
have to pay
Yeah.
this card, and then so that's and it depends of the level of the
Mhm.
relationship,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So some people will like spend every day of the week together. Some other
Mhm.
friendship, it's I don't know, once,
Right.
twice,
Yeah.
right?
Be harder to spot. Yeah.
Favor, favor, lots of favor. You have to do a lot of favor usually,
So,
and yeah,
when sorry to interject there, but so I know within a romantic relationship, there's the love bombing stage that kind of lures you in. What would it be then in a rela- friendship, be business
favor,
type, mentor type relationship?
doing everything, favor,
So they're doing
like
favors for
huge
you.
favor.
They're doing favors for you, and so you feel.
No,
Oh,
oh, what they do to me?
what?
Sorry,
How do
like
they lure you into their web when it's a friendship?
promises, fake promises that never happen,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when it's a relationship,
A
it's the
plan,
whole love bombing thing, but
yeah,
when it's a
yeah.
business or friendship, it's kind what's the
But it
lure?
was
What how do
very
they
little,
Mhm.
very little. A little bit of. I got water in my plant a tiny bit. Not that.
Uh-huh. So then that plays back to your your own feelings of self-worth and self-esteem
Yeah,
are what he played into, and
yeah.
he lured you
Oh,
in playing on
I
that.
know. I know today.
Mhm.
He, the person didn't care about me.
Which I think is the hardest part. That's the gut punch. That's the sucker
That's
punch
what
that
hurt.
is hard to wrap your head around, is the fact that they exploited your vulnerabilities, used you, and then discarded you. And that is
Because
a
you're yeah, you invest yourself into
Yeah.
a relationship, and you know,
Yeah.
and it's like a big slap in the face.
Yeah. It really is.
What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
No
Eh,
closure. And the
yeah.
only person who can, and we all went through healthy relationship in the past
Mm.
where let's say like a love relationship, you just leave the person because either
Mhm.
you growth on different path, right?
Mhm.
And you talk with the person, there is a closure. But
Mhm.
not having a closure, it's pretty much the worst thing ever. It's
It is.
disrespectful, you lose, it's hurtful,
Mhm.
you lose your perception of yourself, you
Mhm.
doubt. So
Mhm.
there's a lot around it.
And I think one of the things that it seems to be a common thread, is that you invested like your 6, 7, whatever years of your life into this friendship to
Mhm.
just have it be discarded so quickly,
Yeah.
seemingly quickly with no.
I
You're
saw
right.
it coming. I
Mhm.
saw it coming. I
How
saw it
so?
coming for like a year and a bit. I saw it coming.
What was it that made you see it coming?
The silent treatment.
Oh,
Who does that?
more
Who does?
discarding, more silent
This is
treatments,
where
yeah.
I started to say, who does that?
Mhm.
Honestly.
Mhm.
And the silent treatment, it's I think it's worse than being discarded
Mm.
because you
Mhm.
chase.
Right.
And when it could end like into an healthy relationship, the person will just say, hey, busy, super busy.
Mhm.
Um, I will call you back in a week or two. Like, I
Mhm.
need to deal with whatever. Thank you.
Mhm.
Done. We're done.
Mhm.
Right? I'll speak to you in 2 weeks or
Yeah.
whatever, or three.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But silent treatment, yeah, it's probably the worst.
It's like I said, that's why for me it was something I had to delve into and learn a lot about because it was just so contrary
Mm.
to the way normal people are
Mhm.
that it was like, I wow, this is a mind meld. This is something that is so far out of the spectrum of normal that I had to find out more about it because it's just the discard, the being treated as an object is just so contrary to what normal people do, right?
Yeah, but and I understand why people don't realize what they're dealing with.
Mhm.
You're so into it, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and I really hope they will talk more about narcissist people because I think there's probably a lot of people that
There
suffer
are.
from it, and they don't like they yes they do talk about mental health
Yeah.
and stuff like that, um but it's a disease,
Mhm.
but it's just yeah.
It's a disease based on trauma. I remember, when I had my relationship with this person, um, what I find, and I haven't met a ton of them, but I feel like it seems that because it's generally usually based on some kind of childhood trauma.
Mhm.
Some obviously we all have had traumas, but
Yeah,
for some reason the narcissistic person takes a different course in navigating their trauma as a young person. But I remember when he went on to a little bit of a bit of a ragey, explosion type thing, a little tantrum. It's funny, there's a meme that says, "Narcissists wanna be treated like a king while acting like a toddler," and it's like, yeah,
I saw
that's
that one too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like that about nails it.
Yeah.
And he went on this, like, little tantrumy thing, and I even said after that, not right after, I think I let him cool down a bit, but I'd said, what's the first trauma you remember as a child?" And at 12, he had mentioned something pretty significant, and it was like, "Yep, that about checks out." Emotionally, they are retarded at the age of their trauma, and that's why you have that toddler behavior because they don't intellectually get past that, and they stay there, and so that's why you have that stomping of the feet, ragey kind of stuff that is more indicative of a younger, way younger person. That's they
Mhm.
stay stuck there, yeah.
So it's I really hope they will talk, and that's why I agreed to talk to you because I'm
Mhm.
usually a very private person,
Mhm.
and And I don't want drama. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the goal. But if it can prevent somebody of suffering, then I would,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Yeah. And that's what I think that what I'm trying to do too with this little series is you're right. There's a lot of people out there that are still in these relationships, either romantic, business, or friendships or whatever, that if they hear more stories, that they can have the courage as well to make the break and know what it
yeah.
takes to make the break. And it has to be the full no contact. It has to be, you just cannot, absolutely cannot have contact again, because
Yeah.
they'll try and lure you back in. They don't they don't discard you without uh, easily. And that's why I'm surprised he hasn't contacted you again, because they will. He probably will. There'll be contacted me again
Oh, yeah.
after it was like 2 months. Yeah, and then again, like I said, coming in as an alias on Facebook was months later, and it's like, why am I still on your radar?
It's quite like kindergarten, eh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's pretty much what it is.
Well, like I
So,
said, that brings you back to the whole intellectually arrested at their first trauma,
yeah.
which I don't know what it was for him,
No.
but there was obviously something that triggered this at a very young age, and that's why they're intellectually, I call it retarded. They've intellectually stopped developing at whatever age the trauma was. Yeah,
It's sad.
it is sad. It is
And
sad
I still
because
like the person. That's the
yeah,
worst. So
yeah,
am I stupid? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm going with the flow. But
yeah.
so
Well, I think it takes an evolved person to um, take this lesson for what it is, and not project it on the other person like you
yeah.
are. You obviously learned a huge invaluable lesson, and you are now growing as a person as a result of it. And same what I feel for my person as well. It's like I wouldn't. I have not. I'm indifferent when it comes to him, which apparently when you talk about narcissists, because there are the love or hate. I remember when he did come to my work, he said, "How come you hate me?" And I said, "I don't hate you. I'm totally indifferent." And I might as well have squared him in the balls, because apparently indifference to a narcissist is like just the kiss of death, because
Yeah.
having no feelings is not an option. They want you to love or hate them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the same thing for me. It's like, it's all fine, whatever.
Yeah.
You're you, I'm me. I learned something.
Were
It's all
you
good.
did you went into and I think it was a very short relationship, right? So did you go into the stage of revenge and stuff? Or no?
His revenge on me, yeah, yeah. Which was
No,
just,
you as a to say you use me and so on. Did you
oh, me, no, I never got, no, I never had any of that
it was a
at all.
short relationship,
It
right?
was very short,
Yeah.
and, yeah, in hindsight, again, there was red flags, and it's funny because I kept on saying to myself when something minor came up, and I'm like, "Okay, note to self," and when 4 of them finally hit, it was like, "All right, that's it.
Yeah.
That's enough red flags for me to walk away." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of thinking from a
Mm,
person who had to deal with it and just and 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 thank God I think it was stopped at the right time for me.
mm,
Yes, I'm hurt and stuff, but I think it I went to the limit.
mhm,
It could have been way worse. But
mm,
usually there is always a need, whatever it is.
yeah,
It's the nurse needs that
right,
person for whatever.
yeah. Do you know what he was getting from you? Have you come to terms with that,
I'm
or
not there yet, and
ah,
I'm not sure I'm gonna dig into it.
yeah,
I have my idea, right?
mhm,
But I don't think it's important for me
okay,
at that stage,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'm not there.
yeah,
Two
and
weeks
yeah,
is quite recent. So,
exactly, it's still really
so
recent. You have to
I'm going with the flow one day at a time and
detach yourself a
whatever.
lot more from it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like I said, when it my sisters even said, when I, because it was such a short relationship and it took me so long to get over, they were even like, what's the big deal? Why is this one taking so long? And for me it was because it was like, I got to figure out why I let myself get lured into this. I
Yeah.
got to figure out what is it that I felt I was going to get out of that. And it is indeed a codependent relationship.
Yeah.
Because a narcissist is like an other kind of abuser, substance abuse. It is you are their codependent. You are the person enabling them. And why was that? Why was I allowing that in my life? And that for me that's what took the longest time. It was not like, oh my God, I'm heartbroken, I don't get to see him again. It was like, no, what the hell was I thinking? Yeah. Yeah. You're lucky you've got a good support network. That's for sure. With
Yeah.
your friends and your therapist friend and your
Yeah.
husband. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the therapist friend, to be honest, it was just to validate I'm not the crazy one, because I've
Yeah.
been screaming that I was totally crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, and you tend to believe you're crazy.
Yeah. That's the thing. There was a video that went around way back. It was from the States and it was viral video on, I don't remember if it was TikTok or YouTube. And it was a state patrol person pulled over a young man who was driving a white van and his partner, woman. And they pulled them over, brought them out of the van, and he was making her out to be the crazy one, and I totally believed it. And it was funny because there was people who are work in abuse with women, women from abused relationships, mental abuse, and said no, that's exactly what they do. They are masters at making you feel like the crazy one and making everyone else think you're the crazy one.
And that's the problem. It's other people believe the noise,
Yes. And
right?
when I was shocked when because I thought, yeah, she looks like she's unhinged in this video.
And she
And when people
advised
were,
me that. She
yeah,
advised me, it
hmm
will happen. You're the
hmm
crazy one,
yeah.
even if you're not.
Like I said, that's why I say they must be. I find them, and I don't know if I mentioned this in this podcast already, but I feel like, um, and I could be wrong, but it feels to me like any story I hear of a narcissist that they're extremely intelligent. They're very
Yeah.
observant, but I feel like anyone who's got to keep all those ducks in a row mentally has to have a pretty good noggin, a lot of smarts, because it is a lot to keep straight. And the
It's
fact
a
that
lot
they're
of
so
work.
capable of the manipulation
Yeah.
and the spin and everything, that they're so masterful at that, that they can make normal people feel like the crazy one. That's something.
It should be, it's probably a lot of work.
Right? Like, I can't imagine. I feel like that seems like, yeah, a lot of work.
A
I can't
lot
it's
of
yeah,
work.
yeah, which I I think that's why normal people have a hard time with it, because it's like, wow, that,
It's
yeah, is a lot of
nonstop,
work.
nonstop
Yeah,
thinking, nonstop.
yeah,
I guess. I
yeah.
don't know.
I have had exposure now to varying degrees of a narcissistic personality, but even for me, like I said, the red flags are there now. For me, I'm very, very guarded, and, so the slightest thing, inclination that there's something not exactly right, and I'm like, "I'm out." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you're becoming very, and I'm really wondering if I would be able to let someone, a
mm,
friend, go back in my life.
yeah, like
I'm
a
at
new
that
friend.
point. I'm like, I don't think I'm even interested.
Yeah,
I'm done.
yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
And I don't trust. My
I
trust
know.
is
It shatters your trust.
completely
Yeah.
shattered.
Yep.
I do not trust people.
Yep. Yep. And I'm really in tune to body language and stuff. And so this other person that I met online in an online dating environment, we had a long exchange. He was away, so we had a long phone and messaging exchange before we finally met in person. And it was like, once I met him in person, there was just body language, there was gestures, and I can't put my finger on it, but it was like, yeah, nope.
Really? No, I'm not into
Yeah.
that. Like, I'm a very simple person, right? You know me. Like, and that it's not it for me, it's the violence. I seem to
Mm.
have, and all the screaming was very, very violent. Like,
Mm.
I'm pretty well, that would be a big assumption, but if a person screaming at you is in your face,
Mm.
pretty sure it would end up with violence.
Mhm. He was never violent with you physically?
No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's true. And but the
But the
actual
voice, the tone of
Mhm.
voice of this,
The rate. Yeah.
you're just like, you're
Yeah.
taking it. And you're like, am I dreaming?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I didn't have
words
that.
are words, right,
Yeah.
John? Words, but usually the tone of voice, it's what
Mhm.
really, really hurt. You can
Yep.
tell me I'm crazy, nuts, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna go. Like,
Yeah.
but the violence
Mhm.
in the tone of voice,
Yep.
it's what, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's what got me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you an analogy, but this is exactly the same thing. Had a Bernese Mountain Dog puppy who was, I don't know, 10, 11 weeks old, and I was walking the boardwalk down on the beach, and someone with a Rhodesian Ridgeback, full adult Rhodesian Ridgeback, had a muzzle on the dog, but the dog went after my puppy, and she said, "It's okay, she's got a muzzle." I'm like, "No, it doesn't matter that there was no flesh to teeth contact. The same impact was felt by my dog,
Yeah,
whether there was puncture wounds or not." And it's the same thing. It's like, it's the body language, it's the posturing, it's the screaming, it's the whatever that escalates it. You don't need to have a physical punch to have that
yeah.
affect you just as.
And in the Norse case, um, I was told, like, by the therapist, like, there's a lot of PTSD.
Mhm.
PTSD, it's a lifetime, like, rebound.
Yeah.
So it's not light. It's very severe,
No, it
right?
really is. You mean, so you're talking about the receiver of that is,
Yeah,
yeah, you can have the post-traumatic stress. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
It is. It's a whole different thing. Like I said, the getting over that, the realization of it all, it is a different mind meld than anything anyone could ever experience. They do all seem to have an exaggerated sense of themselves because they make themselves feel like they're more important than anyone
mhm,
else. That's all part of it, the whole thing. Because you're right. There's no justification in their sense of entitlement and their sense of grandiosity,
mhm.
but they make everyone think that they are. They will inflate their importance because that's, you're right, part of their ego puffing up kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add before we wrap this up?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. So if I have any other questions, I'll certainly reach out again. But this is the first in the series, and like I said, I'm going to do probably like 4 or 5 interviews with different people on this because it is, like you say, I think something that more people need to hear about, um,
Absolutely.
to create awareness. Yeah. Well, I
And,
thank you
and
very, very much.
recognize.
Recognize and quicker rather than later, because and know that it doesn't get better. You will never make this better. There will never be a point where you can make the relationship better with a person of that
Uh,
caliber, because
yeah,
you're right. They don't see that there's any problem with them. It's always you. And so you can't fix that, right?
no,
Yeah. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much
you're
again,
welcome.
for the time that we spent today. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.